Well, good morning, and a very good morning it is from the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, in East Sussex, in the country of the United Kingdom. Wow. And a very warm welcome again this morning. The lights on, the glow, even though it's now getting light at 7 o'clock in the morning. The weather, not too bad. Light breeze, a bit of light rain expected, light cloud, light everything really. And the temperature is starting off at about 8 and going up to 11. Not a bad day. You can get out there if you wish. I'm stuck in here. And where's here? The White Hart Hotel. The White Hart Hotel, a very, very ancient hotel. By modern standards anyway. It goes back to 1500. It's 600 years old and full of history. And a couple of ghosts too. People immediately say, "Are there any ghosts here?" Well, the owners say yes, there are, but not unfriendly ghosts. They've never actually attacked anybody. And they certainly haven't attacked me, unlike the ghosts at Mickleham Priory, which is about 5 miles from here. And there, the ghost is very mischievous because one of them pinches bottoms, and he actually pinched mine. Not a soul in sight. Definite pinch. Why he would pinch mine, heaven only knows. But nonetheless, I think he's just mischievous. And he was one of the Sackvilles, a very well-known name locally. A family that go back to the conquest, and very powerful people they were. And he's very powerful now because if you go in there, watch your buttock. You might come out with just a little red sting on it. But anyway, none of that nonsense at the White Hart. A very good morning, and it's another day of turmoil in the political field, and perhaps not too many surprises. But the main headline is, of course, as one might expect, that the resignation overnight of Miss Nicola Sturgeon. And Nicola has packed it in. She has said enough is enough. And I think that an awful lot of people would say enough is enough. You know, you look at her and butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. And yet she is probably the most vociferous of politicians that we have today. Give her due. I think that she actually had the passion to believe in what she put forward as policies. And she led the Scottish National Party to election victories and to power. So give her due. There's no question that she was some chicken, if I can put it that way. But she was also dogmatic. She was inflexible. And she expected the rest of us to swallow everything that she said. And if she didn't, she stamped her little foot. And she's gone. And that is reflected in the headlines this morning. So we'll take a quick look at the Daily Record, which is a Scottish newspaper. And it says, "I want my independence." And that's a play on words, in as much as Nicola Sturgeon led the fight for Scottish independence. And it says, and it quotes, "I want my independence" is the headline in Scotland's Daily Record, as it reports the resignation of Scottish National Party leader Nicola Sturgeon. It shows an image of the First Minister waving to members of the public from Edinburgh's Bute House. The paper also promises analytical pieces, including one that calls her a champion of feminism. So there you are. There's not all bad things about her at all. The Scottish Herald is, "I am a human being as well as a politician," it quotes her as saying. And it says First Minister stands down after 8 years, giving a candid resignation speech. It says candid at times, tearful, but generally upbeat was the resignation speech. Says also a flurry of analysis inside, with the paper's political editor saying her speech was a shock to politics in Scotland and beyond. Wowee. Okay, well, we'll keep on switching back between the good, the bad, and never the ugly. I would never call Nicola Sturgeon. In fact, strangely enough, she reminds me of the film star Angela Lansbury, who died not too long ago, and who was my favourite, I must say. Perhaps that's why I have a soft spot for Nicola, because she does look a bit like Angela Lansbury. But anyway, the I, independence dream fades as Sturgeon quits. The English papers are not quite as soft on Sturgeon as the Scottish papers. The I leads with an image of Sturgeon seemingly wiping away a tear during her press conference at Bute House, and reports that her resignation could set back Scotland's independence bid by decades. It says the decision has created turmoil in the independence movements, with efforts for a second referendum now all but dead. The Financial Times it leads that the SNP, that's the Scottish National Party, at the crossroads after Sturgeon steps aside as Scotland's First Minister. Let's keep switching the picture, shall we? Sturgeon's resignation has left the Scottish National Party at the crossroads, says the FT, adding that her strategy for securing independence caused a backlash, while there was also controversy over proposed gender laws. The paper also says that the development could boost Labour's chances of a UK-wide majority in the next general election. Away from political developments, the paper also reports that an Iranian-American bilateral the paper also reports an Iranian-American billionaire, John Najafi, is planning a $1 billion takeover of Premier League football club Tottenham Hotspur. Wow, the Middle Eastern potentates are sure after our football clubs. The thing is if they buy one, and they actually go to pick it up and take it away and put it in their own countries. That'd be something, wouldn't it? The Guardian. Sturgeon quits, citing brutality in politics. The Guardian says it is a fairly straight headline, which reports that Sturgeon quit because of brutality in politics. The top of the front page also previews an investigation the paper has conducted into an election hacking and propaganda unit around the world. Wow. There's some stories around this morning when it comes to politics, and actually, is in some ways controversially, we have supported. We haven't supported the view. We've given voice to the alternative view, as put by Liza Page, not uncontroversial herself, but the Times does say a huge boost to unionism as Sturgeon steps down. It says the resignation will serve as a huge boost and a generational setback to efforts for Scottish independence. But the paper also gives a Hollywood siren, Raquel Welch, who died at the age of 82. Paper also reports that the UK risks falling behind France as NATO's foremost military power in Europe. Well, there you go. We've actually stabbed ourselves in the foot, shot ourselves in the foot, and now we're paying the price. We're becoming a second-class nation. But then we've got second-class leaders. So I suppose, who can get excited? The Daily Telegraph: Sturgeon brought down by the trans row. And actually, that seems to me the most likely thing is she stepped one step too far. She went one step too far in taking on the trans issues. The fact of the matter is, whether we like it or not, it doesn't matter where you stand on these things. This business of gender and minorities and so on and so forth is a minefield. I'm sorry, but thoughts and views and opinions only change bit at a time. Yes, our leaders and various organizations are right to chip away at prejudice and bias and looking at things in a colored way. But expecting things to happen overnight is that's naive, to say the least. And yet everybody seems to think that happens, and then they dump on people who actually don't go along with it as fast as they would like. Well, that's controversial. And pin your mast, your flag, to the mast of transgender is high-risk stuff, and she's paid the price. The Telegraph says Sturgeon's resignation is that her radical approach to transgender rights cost her the support of her party. The paper also includes an analysis by its Scottish editor who says it was Sturgeon's ferocious belief in her own ability that brought about her demise. There is bad news for fans of the Telegraph cartoonist Matt, who it says is away. Well, somebody's got a bit of a sense of humor. Right, the Metro, changing of the old guard, stir gone, it says, a play on words, and Corbyn. So the Metro combines the news of Sturgeon's resignation with developments south of the border, where Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer banned his predecessor Jeremy Corbyn from standing for the party at the next general election. A paper says the Islington North MP has been Corbynized and describes both developments as the changing of the old guard on what it says was a day of huge political shocks. Well, maybe, but I'm sorry, Mr. Starmer. I think that is wrong of you to ban Jeremy Corbyn. I have no truck with the man. On the contrary, I'm bloody glad to see him go. But banning him from your party shows that you have a narrow view. My view is, and it will be a healthier society if both media and politics show a little bit more tolerance towards dissident views. If we're going to be an open society, if we're going to be a democratic society, we have to accept that the establishment isn't the only view and the only feel. We have to let a certain amount of relaxation take place in the way that we see things. Yes, it's frustrating that people don't think the way that we do, or they do. But trying to ban them and throw them out and stop them is all it does is it gives them a credibility that they wouldn't have unless such actions were taken. And it is silly. Starmer has not, in my view, shown a great deal of a political nous or statesmanship. So we are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea in our own politics, between Conservatives and Labour, and there seems no taste whatsoever for liberalism. I don't know why. Yes, at local level, and not at national level. And well, I mean, what we have here in Lewis is a straight fight between Labour, no, sorry, between Lib Dem and Conservative. But we are very unusual. And that's not the sort of fight that you see at the polls throughout the country. So why the Lib Dems are just not catching on, and the other two parties are actually disgracing themselves, in my view, I have no idea. No idea at all. And I don't support Lib Dems either. In fact, we are a Mirador television, totally and utterly independent. We give access to all views, no matter how controversial they may be, pro, con, and so on. The only thing we will not permit is obscenity, but we won't allow, and basically because it's the law, we will not allow any form of slander or libel. That's what we won't allow. After that, if somebody has got a dissident point of view, okay, we're the station for you. All right, the Daily Mail, they headline actually, police say missing Nicola. That's Nicola Bully, the lady who was walking her dog and disappeared off the banks of the river. Had significant alcohol issues. You know, that this is what happens, isn't it? It's apparently an ordinary lady who does nothing more than take her dog for a walk, comes under the spotlight if something happens to her. And now it turns out that she's got alcohol issues and other sort of, private life issues. Haven't we all? God's sake, Jesus, I tell you, I'd hate people to dissect me before I die. Afterwards, I don't care. But, all right, so the Daily Mail. Tearful Sturgeon quits with her dreams in tatters. Scotland's First Minister in shock resignation, and independence bid in chaos. And the gender ID law is sunk. Now questions over husband and SNP finances. Oh dear, 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 dear. Already some of them digging for dirt on Nicola. The Daily Mail says Sturgeon has stood down with her dream in tatters, adding that her decision has plunged Scotland into turmoil. It also previews an analysis by the journalist Andrew Neil, who describes her legacy of failure. It also reports on developments regarding the disappearance of Nicola Bully, notably police remarks that she had significant alcohol issues. Mirror, Nicola's turmoil. It doesn't touch Nicola Sturgeon. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. It's talking of Nicola Bully, and it has a picture of her on the front page, missing mum anguish. And it says police tell of a struggle with menopause and alcohol issues. It focuses its attention on the continued search for Nicola Bully, who has been missing since late. Let's see, we've got a picture of Nicola. I think we have somewhere here. Yes, there is. That's the Mirror makes no mention of Nicola Sturgeon at all on its front page. It reports on the remarks made by police that she was experiencing significant issues with alcohol and was identified as a high-risk missing person because of specific vulnerabilities. The paper also previews a tribute to screen goddess Raquel Welch. Yes, Raquel Welch, 82 she was. I didn't realize I was a year younger than she. But very, very sad that she's died because she was a beautiful woman and passed over as being a serious actress for a good many years until she actually blossomed, and really she did become an icon and somebody that we all should look up to. The Express, strangely enough, also doesn't go for Nicola Sturgeon. It goes with Nicola Bulley, and it also says the police are describing her as vulnerable and struggling with the menopause. The paper also previews an analysis inside its pages which asks if the British Union is safer after the departure of Nicola Sturgeon. So it does actually refer to it, but not, I may say, if doesn't make it its number one priority. Very strange, I think, particularly for the Express. Right. Let's have a look at local news headlines. Oh, right. Okay. Locals, meaning you and I suppose, if we is. Let's what the hell? Let's go back to me. Is that I say the two Nicolas are quite good-looking women. I don't know whether that's my taste, but I think this is a very attractive lady. Let's take another look at her. She's missing, and also in my view. However nasty tongued she was, is I think that Nicola Sturgeon was a very good looking lady too. But anyway, in locals apparently, and we don't identify where the locals are, as Crawley locals are glad countryside won't be destroyed after Centre Parks ditches a £350 million village plan. Centre Parks. And I've used Centre Parks in the past with my grandsons, and I think it's a very well laid out idea. But yes, it does take away the raw nature of the countryside, and you can't use it unless you pay to get in. But people in Crawley are expressing mixed reactions after Centre Park is. Hang on. There we go. Yes, a beautiful picture of Hayes. People in Korea are expressing mixed reactions after Centre Parks ditched its plans for a £350 million site. The company had planned to develop a holiday village at Old House Warren, an area of private woodland south of the town, covering 553 acres. That's a fair chunk of real estate. It said plans were withdrawn after an environmental and ecological survey found the area was not suitable. And much of the proposed site was covered by ancient woodland, which led to strong opposition from campaigners. Right. 3 more teenage boys have been arrested following a stabbing outside McDonald's. That stabbing took place a few days ago in Worthing, and it's 3 more boys. I'm not sure how many have been arrested so far. The stabbing has left a 16-year-old boy. It took place on the 13th, so 3 days ago. It left a 16-year-old boy with life-threatening injuries. The incident, which happened in Liverpool Road at around 5:30 p.m., saw Sussex police initially making 2 arrests. However, a further 3 teenage boys aged 13 to 15 and 16 have since been arrested. is the things that are worrying me about this is that these stabbings and crimes of violence are becoming more and more. When I open up each day to look at what's happened locally, is from minor to major, there are crimes of violence, and that's a frightening thing, I think. And an airline announces new routes to Florida from Gatwick Airport. Aha! Let's take a look at that, shall we? Gatwick Airport, North Atlantic announces new routes to Orlando and Fort Lauderdale. So Gatwick is slowly coming back to life and getting the routes back. North Atlantic announced fresh routes from Gatwick Airport to the United States from May onward. Passengers will be able to use the airline to travel to both Orlando and Fort Lauderdale in Florida. There will be 4 flights a week to Orlando from May the 25th, increasing to a daily service for the summer. Flights in Fort Lauderdale will be available 3 times each week, increasing to 4 after May and June. So there you are. That's the local. That's the local news of any note, and let's just, if we can, take a look at the weather in a definitive way. Here we go. The weather is today? It's going to reach 12. I was a bit low in my estimate, and it's going to be 12 right through until next Wednesday. And much the same sort of weather. And starting off at a high degree, it's 9 degrees in the morning, and that's the low. 12 degrees by hitting 12 degrees by lunchtime, with light rain and a moderate breeze. The light rain looks as if it's going to last for the morning, and then in the afternoon, the rain will cease, and there will be a light cloud and a moderate breeze. Now, I'm always worried about even a moderate breeze because my hat goes tearing off down the street, even with a moderate breeze. And quite often, it's a very nice, well-meaning lady who stamps on it. And I don't mind because, like Harrison Ford's Trilby, which went for $150,000 on the internet, mine is up for $150,000 plus one, on the basis that, first of all, mine will be in pounds. Secondly, mine has been much more around the world than his has, and there were no substitutes. What you see is the real one. And every time that a lady stamps on it in her kindness of trying to keep it from blowing away from me, I am very, very happy. Very happy indeed. Now, it's been a full news morning. I'm happy to say, really, is Nicola Sturgeon making her shock announcement, a shock resignation, and that filled the headlines, and it's given us rise to having access to the Daily Record and the Herald, which is much smoother, much lighter in its criticism of her, because to some extent, of course, the Scottish papers were not totally against Scottish independence. So that is the morning's news. It's now 9 o'clock. What we do at this stage is we go away for half an hour. We come back with actually an episode from our documentary, The Bloody Past of a Tiny Town. And we're Yes, the bloody past of a tiny town. And that gives an insight into the history and some geography and some interesting facts so we don't start to get ring-arounds and so on. We'll just have to adjust the sound there, if you will allow me to do that. What was I saying? Yes, our documentary series, it's about 25 minutes worth, gives you some background. And this morning's episode is the final one, episode 8. We will be replaying it next week. But episode 8 is a little wrap of the things that we covered. So do join us again at 9:30 if you want to know a little bit more about the town that either you've moved to, you lived in, because when it was first shown, several people who were born and raised here said there were little bits and pieces that they didn't know about. And I have to say that nobody questioned anything that we said, which is rather nice. I've spotted 3 or 4 mistakes, but then I look at it half a dozen times a week, don't I, for one reason or another. So there we are. We're going to come back at 9:30. Yes, 9:30. I think and then what we will do is we'll play that and take us up to 10 o'clock. And then Liza Page will be along with her alternative view. And if that doesn't take us through to the time it's ready for us to quit, then what we do is we say farewell. But not a bad morning, all in all. And I'm just seeing if we have to constantly change the photographs that we've got, and so I lose these things from time to time. Never mind. So here we go for this half hour, and we'll see you in about let's see, it's 9:03. We'll see you in about 23, 25, 20, 22, 27 minutes or so. Join us then. I know, we're quirky, we're daft. Who'd want to watch us? Well, 3,000 or 4,000 of you do. Rather nice. So we'll see you in a few minutes' time. Toodle, toodle, pip.